Hey everybody, Shay here. Time for a channel update. Which games are in store for this month? There was Assassin's Creed 2, there was Last of Us, and there was Greedfall. Now, Greedfall was the one that I thought I was going to play as a primary game and push through February with it. I did do some experiments with I wanted to do just a kind of side game. The secondary game was going to be Assassin's Creed 2. Got really addicted to Assassin's Creed 2, a little bit more on that. And then I got an Elgato card. So then I can play PlayStation 4 games on my PC and I can capture it with the software. Now, for those of you who are watching The Last of Us, there were problems with the audio because of the way that I had to do the workaround with the way the audio was pushing through the Elgato into the system. Just to give context as to why things were going sideways with the audio. Now, I did figure that out. I did create a separate profile in my own way so that I could control what the PS4 was doing and what it was outputting, and I proved that the sound problems have gone away for The Last of Us. But that said, my fear was that if I were to switch between The Last of Us and Assassin's Creed 2 and Greedfall, that at some point I was going to forget to change something every time I switched games and monitors and playstyles. So for example, Greedfall was in windowed mode, and so I was able to see the capture software with the game. I was able to have more control over like being able to review things as they were going on. Assassin's Creed 2, it was forced into full screen mode onto a super widescreen monitor, so then that had its own implications. And then the PlayStation 4 had to go through the Elgato, and I had to push it to my smaller monitor, and so that had implications because if I pushed it to the widescreen, it kind of blew everything out, like it stretched everything as opposed to keeping it at 16:9. Okay, so enough of the weird technical jargon stuff. Just the summary of all of that is technical issues prevented me from being able to juggle multiple games. I was fully able to do that through January. I got a bit of a schedule going right now, and one example of that, I'll start with Assassin's Creed 2. I have cleared the game. So as of this weekend, well actually like this morning at 3 a.m. Before the workday, I cleared Assassin's Creed 2. I played a lot over the weekend. I couldn't stop playing it. I was super addicted to the game, and because of the whole setting thing, I just sort of so I had the injury thing, which is weird. It's embarrassing to talk about, but my shoulder blades, I basically blew out my shoulder blades. First I blew out my right one, and then I blew out my left one. It was weird. It was like sending nerves were like shooting off, and like there was weird kink stuff in the bones and the tendons and stuff like that. I have never had that happen in my life. It took me out of commission for like 5 or 6 days. So that said, that was all. Do I explain it? I'm gonna have to explain it. Okay, so it's a little bit off topic here, but just so that you know. So on the side, I produce these comics called Raven Nevermore. I'm on the 5th. I just completed this one right here, the 5th one, and so I had to package 200 of these books. Now 200 doesn't sound like a lot. I had to put 200 of these into a bag and board, which is what, you know, comic book collectors, they put these put comics into these bag and boards. So I had to put this into the plastic sleeve. I had to put the comic into the plastic here. So just there, 200 books means 400 actions of doing this. I piled them all up and I put them into a plastic mailer bag so that I could protect them in shipping, and then I put those plastic bags into an envelope. So this motion of stacking things like this 800 times in 5 days completely destroyed me. I know, it sounds embarrassing, but that many micro actions does something to old bodies. Okay, so moving on. So that takes us to The Last of Us. Now, I really enjoyed the game straight off the bat. I really enjoyed the PlayStation 2 controller. Just felt right away. I mean, I played a lot of PlayStation games back in the day, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and so, but I was afraid to kind of go between, this is like an Xbox controller, clone controller, versus the PlayStation. Now, this is what I was used to. Xbox, I've always failed at, and so it's been taking me a while to get used to this. Now, Assassin's Creed might have changed that because I played so much of Assassin's Creed so back to back that I got pretty good with the Xbox controller, despite not really knowing where all the buttons are when those QuickTime events happen. But the PlayStation 4, this felt right away. Now, there were a couple extra buttons here for The Last of Us. There's like these little ones right here, which I'm not used to. This whole thing is a button, which I wasn't used to either. but I'm gonna get used to it. I mean, I'll get used to it again now. Of course, like 2 weeks have passed or so since I fixed the whole audio thing, but I'm gonna get back to it, and that's gonna be the next focus for the channel for February. So that's probably gonna get done easily in the next 2 weeks. The schedule will be normalized again. I'm deciding which time to put them, time slot to put them in, whether it's 9 in the morning or noon or 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but it's going to get locked in as soon as I can get scheduling back on track, and you can expect those to land. And then it takes us to the third game, Greedfall. Of course, I'm going back to Greedfall. I absolutely adore Greedfall. I don't know why it hasn't gotten as many. It hasn't gotten as much coverage as I believe it should have. I mean, it has its quirks. It's from a smaller studio. The lip syncing stuff is a little bit off sometimes, but man, the story is pretty solid. There's nothing I feel that happens in that game that isn't meaningful. So even the stuff that is kind of like the side quest of the RPG, it all feels right. Looting there's a very good balance of how the looting works. The fighting, I didn't think I would really enjoy, but I really enjoy it. The boss fights, it turns out, was a kind of a special treat for me. I never anticipated there would be bosses on maps, but now I'm looking forward to all the rest of the bosses that I might encounter in this game. I've enjoyed it. I enjoyed the visual style of the fantasy elements of the game. The characters so far are good. I only have the ones that you see on the channel, so I still have to pick up 2 more, I think, but I have no complaints about the game overall. It's a fascinating game, and I cannot wait to return to it. But at this point, it becomes a thing of like, do I want to switch my profiles? And it's not so much affect Greedfall, it's affect the PlayStation setup. I don't want to compromise The Last of Us. That playthrough is not that long, so I might as well just focus on The Last of Us. I'll get the PlayStation game out of the way, and then I'll move on to Greedfall. And that one's not that long either. So, but anyways, those are the back-to-back games. That's going to cover February pretty good. The smaller games that are going to come to the channel are the Rusty Lake. There's 2 more I have to do. It's Rusty Lake Paradise and Cube Escape Paradox. So those ones are on track to happen. I'll probably play them in the next week and a half or so. So all of those will be done February as well, and I'll filter those in. And again, a series that kind of surprised me. I never anticipated enjoying the puzzles as much as I enjoy them. I think it's because of the absurdist angle that the games take, and that's a capital A absurdist, like finding meaning where there's no meaning and stuff like that. So but it's just it kind of messes with your mind, and then they somehow do bring it all together in its own fantasy way, and it's just a creative, interesting, dark game. And so I can't wait to get back to Rusty Lake. That takes us to what is coming next. Now, I don't know if these games are gonna be uploading during February, but I'm almost definitely going to start them in February, and that's Knights of the Old Republic 2. I'm probably going to start that one as soon as I'm done The Last of Us, so it'll be Knights of the Republic 2 with Greedfall, is I think the pair that I'm going to be working with, and then I'm going to float back to PlayStation 4 with the Uncharted collection. I don't know if I'll do all 3 of them back to back, but I'm definitely going to get the first game in. I would like to try to start at February as well, probably the end of February or something, just because I'm going to want to get my parkour fix again. And I know there's traversal stuff in Uncharted, and I know that it's story driven, and I know that it's short. So Uncharted is going to be the next PlayStation game to hit the channel right after The Last of Us. And that's a channel update. If anything else comes, it's going to be spontaneous, and sometimes that happens. But for the most part, that's the plan. I will catch you in the next stack of episodes. Don't forget to explore, engage, and inspire, buddy. Peace.